Well, the president announced the other day that U.S. troops would be coming home from Syria, but it doesn't seem like they are. That withdrawal has been paused. And now the National Security Advisor, John Bolton, says that actually they're not coming home. Americans will only come home from Syria when Kurdish forces are safe from attack by Turkey. Now, Turkey is a NATO ally. And that means the U.S. is levying threats against our own ally in NATO. Remember that the next time you hear how crucial this alliance is. It's all very confusing, and that's why we're grateful to talk to Christian Whidden, a former State Department senior advisor in the Trump and Bush administrations. He joins us now. So I'm not here to attack the Kurds, Christian, but I'm all of a sudden hearing that the well-being of Kurdish forces is more important than getting our troops home. When did this become a critical national security imperative?
That's an excellent question, and I think Bolton may have actually been misquoted by the New York Times and the Washington Post.
So.
If you look at what he says just that Turkey ought to consult with us before they do something in the areas where the Kurds are. But there is definitely a large, unseen force here in Washington that wants mission creep. They want to go from the actual mission, which is killing ISIS, something I think we were all on board with.
Yes.
President Trump sold to the American people and succeeded on, to protecting the Kurds, essentially to creating another Kurdistan de facto state in Syria, just like the one we helped to create in Iraq.
But you've been here so long and you've worked in a bunch of governments, and so you know what's really happening. When the president comes out and says, we're bringing our troops home from Syria, everyone who lives here said, it's not going to happen. They're not going to let him do that. Are you joking? And so Bolton got out there and be like, well, actually, we're putting this on pause. It's like, it's according to script, actually. It's perfect.
Right, but I think at the end of the day, if you look at what Trump has said, I mean, he said we're getting out. And then there was all this talk about, oh, well, no, that's not really what he meant. It's going to be 4 months or longer. And then he said, I don't know where 4 months came from. And then today, there's this other mission creep. And people also talking about, well, we may want to manage Syria's airspace or the airspace over the Kurds for a while, which is a long-time neoconservative dream to have a no-fly zone in Syria. That's a long-term commitment. Think about the one we had over Iraq. Went on for more than a decade. But the president actually criticized those two reports in the New York Times and the Washington Post. I hope he sticks to his word. I hope we get out. That will be very popular with voters, staying in and changing the plan.
Shouldn't someone, last question, go on TV at some point and explain to us why it's so important to protect the Kurds? I think most people, educated people even, have no idea who the Kurds are and why they should care. Why all of a sudden has Washington decided this is the most important thing we should do?
It's this sort of new form of imperialism we have. If you go back and look to the original European imperialism in the Middle East, Sykes and Picot, a British and French bureaucrats who basically carved up the Middle East after World War I into these unstable political entities that made no sense. I mean, that is sort of what is going on in Washington. You're right. This idea that just because we fought in part with the Kurds, having never made them a specific promise that we owe them their own de facto state, which is the implication here. Yeah. It's nuts. Never been put to the president, never been put to Congress.
Or the public. It's supposed to be a democracy. You should have some way of influencing your foreign policy if you're the citizenry, no?
Yep. It's the palace eunuchs think they know better than the emperor.
I love that. On that sad but accurate note, Christian Whidden, great to see you.
Thanks, Tucker.
Thank you. Well, young girl.